Well, home sweet home. I'm in New Jersey, and this is what you get for $57 US a night. So king size bed, oh, this is the wrong side. Yeah, this is the front. I came in here with my truck and went inside, registered, but you know, there's too many cars here, so I parked in the back. But I can see my truck, and I sprayed everything. I didn't, you know, didn't clean it up. I just sprayed my this thing over here. See, everything is wet, and I did. Oh, and I refilled my sanitizer bottle. Very handy. And anyway, and I did a video about me and Tom, the pilot, getting out of Buffalo, and I didn't do too much editing, you know, just connected the clips together, and it was like real time, and the video became 1 hour 50 minutes. It's basically us from the border with Canada, and then through the detour, and let's see if I can use some kind of a, you know, stand. Perfect. See, I think we're recording. And so yeah, I did almost 2 hours of a video, and then I had to reduce the resolution because the file size was like, you know, all original files. It took like 40 minutes to transfer to the computer because the size was 18 gigabytes, because it was shot in 1080p, no, 720p, but 60 frames a second. And then I downsized it, changed the bit rate, and it became 6 gigabytes. 6 gigabytes. And it took like maybe half an hour only to upload, because I was using my Verizon phone, the one I'm recording from now. So the connection was pretty good. But then it got stuck in processing. You know, first for 2 hours it showed 0 processed. And then I closed that window, came back half an hour. Now it says 95% processed. And usually that's where it stays at 95% for a long time. And I keep checking and checking every half an hour, 1 hour, nothing. Still stuck at 95%, not public. You know, the video is uploaded. It was still trying to process it. I even woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. I was thinking about this. Logged on to the internet for 2 minutes, checked, 95% processed. So anyway, so this, when I finished unloading today, I went in and I cut that video in half. And so I'm going to upload it now after this one. And you will see it's Sergey and Tom take on Buffalo. But it's going to be a short version, only 1 hour. And we'll see, maybe something will happen with that longer one. I'm not going to delete it, so it's still sitting somewhere there being processed. Maybe eventually it'll get processed. If not, I might post the second half as a separate video as well. But yeah, I didn't have time, you know, everything was so fast today. So I slept in Columbia, New Jersey, at the TA. And actually it was pretty big. But of course, I'm with a booster, I'm like 89 feet long, and with this long neck, so I just blocked the booster and backed into paid parking spot. It was 18 bucks. 18 bucks US. But you know, nobody bothered me. I slept okay, and then in the morning the sunrise was at 6:15. That's where I woke up at 6:15, did my quick kettlebell routine, and then they sent me towards this mountainside New Jersey, basically I-80 east, 287 south, US 22 north or east. It's like this, but that US 22 has dividers in the middle. So, and they told me that the entrance is on the right hand side, so I had to go north or east on US 22 to get there. So anyway, that's what my permit said. I-80 east, 287 south, US 22 north. And I made it in. I called the guy. I said, can you please guys guide me somewhere here where I'm going? And it's a big property, and so I had to pull forward, you know, and then backed, of course, blocking my booster. And then I said, and I dropped the trailer because, of course, I cannot take the neck with me because I have this long neck, right? I cannot separate the neck. We have to flip it, right? Because there's no way for the neck to sit on the truck because the truck is like half a mile forward. And so I dropped the trailer, separated, you know, disconnected all my lines, and I told them, you guys have like a telescopic, you know, like a telehandler, like a zoom boom, you know, because those are the best for flipping this. Because where I was delivering, it's a construction company. And the guy says, oh, no, we don't have that one, but we have a loader, like a wheel loader, kind of like a 930 cat, like that type of class, you know, like medium-sized loader. And I said, well, I'm not sure if it'll have enough reach, because I said, you know, this thing, it's 83 inches. You know, that's what, 7 feet long. And so we tried it with the loader. No, the loader cannot flip it. It gets too high at the top. It ran out of height. It cannot raise the forks anymore. And then I told him, I said, you know, let's use the excavator. I said, that's how I flipped it myself. And so we hooked up one chain, and the guy lifted it, and that's it. And he's stuck. Like, he cannot go any higher. But thankfully, there was a room behind the excavator. And so the guy who was guiding him, he says, just back up a little bit. And so he raised that flip, and it was still sitting, you know, it was like this, right? So he raised it like this, and it didn't want to go this way. It was just like 90 degrees. And so the excavator was all the way up. And so the guy just backed, and of course his boom started dragging this thing like this. And then finally it tipped, and then he was able to, you know, lower his boom, and finally it went down. So yeah, the guy was very gentle, very gentle. And then I hooked up to the neck, separated the neck from the trailer, and the guy offloaded the excavator, parked it nearby. I took a couple of pictures to send to my broker, and that's it. Then I just hid away my chains, collected all my outrigger boards, secured them, hooked back to the trailer, and the guy signed my paperwork. So right away I sent everything to my factoring company, and it was already after 10 a.m. so I know they will not pay me today, so I'll be paid tomorrow for this trip, which is pretty good. And after that, they were expecting me at Hale Trailer in Voorhees, New Jersey. And from my consignee to Hale Trailer was about 85 miles, just pretty much, you know, south on 95. Just it took me a while to get from US 22 to I-95, because Google Maps wanted me to take, you know, like parkways and like some crazy small roads where it says I'm driving and I know that I cannot go there, and it says maximum weight 4 tons. 4 tons. My truck by itself is 27,000 pounds. So the truck by itself is 13.5 tons, right? I'm assuming they're talking American tons, like short tons. And the trailer is 33, and the neck is 1400, and the spreader is about 4,000. So basically, you cannot go on small roads, right? And so I just took US 22 all the way east till I ran into just near the airport. Actually, where a couple of years ago, when I flew to Moscow, I booked a flight from Newark, New Jersey. And I remember I drove there in my Dodge Ram. I parked the Ram, and then flew to Moscow and paid for long-term parking, and I came back. And so I'm driving, and I say, wait a second, I know this place. So I was just, in Newark, and then I grabbed that Highway 19 South, and that one took me to 95, and then I just stayed on 95 and New Jersey Turnpike all the way to Highway 73, just north of Voorhees. And 73 goes straight south, and then you just turn on Cooper Road, and that's where the Hale Trail is. So last time I almost got stuck in there, but this time I know where to go so that the turns are not too sharp. So when you go south on 73, then it's a very minor, like you're going like this, and then you're just turning very slightly on this Cooper Road, and the entrance to the gate is right from there. And so I parked the truck, went inside, grabbed this gentleman Dan, and they were expecting me, thanks to Mark, the sales guy from Hale Trailer, who helped coordinate all this with the service department. And turns out those cracks at the bottom, there is some kind of a tiny flaw in there, because now we're waiting, like they're gonna fix the crack, but Fontaine from Alabama is sending some kind of a special part, some kind of a bracket or something, but they're gonna, once it's here, well, of course I'm not waiting 4 weeks, but they said it's gonna take 2 to 4 weeks. I said, just let me know when you have it, I'll come back, or I'll find a load going this way, because I'm only 500 miles away. That's like nothing for a semi truck. Ontario, Cambridge, Ontario is 500 miles away from here. And so yeah, they're gonna install some kind of a brackets, basically to reinforce that big tube or pipe at the bottom that sits on those claws that holds the neck. So the chief engineer of Fontaine said they're sending some kind of a part. He says it's for this specific application. I don't know, maybe because I'm using this long neck, and some people are saying that when you have this super long neck, with the flip box, with the neck extension, it puts a lot of stress on that lower part. And but for now, I took Dan around. I said, okay, so this is the warranty stuff, right? That crack over there, and then the crack inside the trailer where the ramp is. And I said, now I also see the crack on the right where the handle is to unlock the pin. It's the same. It's like tiny little plate like this, right? And it's like this thick, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch. And it connects the bottom to the top deck where the metal part is, like of the ramp, like where the ramp is, it's metal, right? And inside on both sides, it's like flimsy looking piece of metal, like I don't know, like this thick, this tall, and maybe like this, this wide, this tall, and maybe this thick. And that one, just the weld, I see the weld broke at the top and on the sides. And I only saw this on the passenger side. Now I look on the driver's side just to double check where my handle is to unlock the neck, and they have the same plate in there, and I see the same plate has the same problem. And so, and of course, this is separate from that big bar, so they're sending that bracket for this one. And I said, guys, I think you should do something to reinforce these ramps, because I think that's what happens when you load the big machine. It puts a lot of weight on this metal, the first 2-3 feet of the trailer. That's where metal is, and that's where those plates are like this, right? And I said, I know Fontaine watches my videos, and they will know that the heaviest load I had so far was 107,000 pounds. And this is a 60-ton trailer, so in theory, I should be able to load 125,000 pounds. So I said it should not happen like that. So this something is missing here. So the guy made a note. He says, okay, we'll see what we can do. And then there were a couple of bad welds or something, and then I showed them. I said, can you take a look at the flip? And then I said, okay, this is the warranty stuff, and now I'll show you what I want you guys to do, and I will pay you for this. And the hourly rate is he says 99 bucks. But I said, hey, it's fine. I said, unlimited funds. I just got a new credit card, so we're good. But so what they're gonna do is, oh, and I said in the back there where the cylinders, the 3 cylinders on top of the neck, right? The cylinder connects to like a pin like this, right? So the cylinder sits like this, and for some reason, all these 3 cylinders, this connection is not in the center of the pin, but it's like this, like all the way to the right. All 3 spots where the cylinder connects to the neck, like there's a big pin in there, it's not in the middle, it's to the right. And I said, like, can you guys correct this? I don't think it should be like that. It should be in the middle, right? Because otherwise when they're pulling, they're kind of like pulling at an angle, And the guy says, okay. So he wrote it down. I said, okay, a couple of well, I found one bad weld on the flip box by JC Trailer. And I said, can you guys just look, if you have in stock of 83-inch Fontaine flip box, like the genuine Fontaine neck extension, I said, can you just compare mine with Fontaine and see if there's any cross members on the Fontaine, if Fontaine has any more cross members compared to mine. So I said, if you see that Fontaine has any cross members or any bars, to make it stronger, I'll pay you, just weld them to my neck, Because on mine, there's nothing, like there's only some ribs and some steel in the front where the kingpin is, but in the back, like there's no cross members, the only one in the very back. I would feel really better if they put like a big, plate or panel in there, just connecting both sides. Call me crazy. And the guy says, okay, if we have it in stock, he says, we'll go take a look. But I said, yeah, basically just, see if you can make it stronger a little bit, because I feel like, if I start doing 125,000 pound loads, I want to be 100% sure that this neck will not send me into the ditch, And then in the back, so they're going to be moving, I'm paying for this, so they're going to be moving connectors. All my air and electric connectors, they're going to be moving from inside at the bottom of the trailer, they're going to be moving them to the top. So they're going to be 2 spots, one after axle 2, because my trailer is only tandem, right? And the other one is on flip axle 1. And then I asked him to change that handle, right height control handle. Like when I was in Western Canada, it was like minus 20 Celsius. That handle got frozen, and when I tried to change the right height, I bent it, and when I tried to bend it backwards, it stopped going into these position, like those special marks. And I said, just give me a new handle, please. And the guy says, okay. So he was writing down, like, I don't know, like an essay over there. And then I said, last but not least, I said, I think Mark, the sales guy, told you, if possible, I wanted to change the booster from 3+1 to 2+2. And I'm thinking, I don't want to be there for this one, so let them handle this. If they cannot do it, I'll find somebody who can do it. But they have a big shop, they have a ceiling crane, so they can do it. And of course, they know Fontaine trailers. So the only thing that's foreign on that trailer is the spreader by JC Trailer, right? But it's the same principle, just 4 pins, right? I said, take the pressure out of the spreader axle, and this should release the pins. You take them out. I said, here's the jack. You can put the jack down and then separate this and put this, take axle 3 and put it between the spreader bar and axle 4, and then I will have 2 plus 2, you know. And last but not least, on axle 3, for some reason after winter, that valve that drops the air from the suspension, like, it works fine. It's like a kind of like a pull push type of thing with a flat, kind of like, you know, like a nail head, but much bigger. And on the tandem, on the trailer, works fine. I can drop the air, no problem. On axle 4 in the very back, works fine. But on this axle 3, it got stuck in the fully inflated position, and there's no way. I tried even, like, you know, knock on it gently with a hammer. I know I'll break it because that piece of, like, the stem is very thin in there. And so I asked Dan, I said, Dan, can you please replace this? And they said, okay. So basically my trailer is getting a lot of work done, and which will make my work easier and safer. And so, of course, the cracks, and maybe I'm just hoping maybe they'll find a way to strengthen the ramps and strengthen the flip box, the you know, the neck extension. And I wanted to leave my truck and just take an Uber, but the guy looks at me. He says, you have anybody picking you up? I said, no. He says, well, you can just drop the trailer, because he says, we have equipment here. We can move it and we can separate the neck. We don't need your truck, because I thought, you know, they would need my truck to separate it. He says, we have all these shunt trucks and we have ceiling cranes. He says, you can take your truck. I said, okay, that's it. I said, I just came from Alberta. I've been on the road for over a month. I said, I'm going to a hotel. I said, you have 2 days. Is that enough? Today's Wednesday, right? And Dan says, oh yeah, that's cool. He says, we have any questions? I gave him my business card with all my US number, Canadian number. I said, you can, all of these are cell phones. I said, send me a text message or email, or if you have any questions. And the guy says, sure, cool. I'm very happy about that. I'm always feel, I don't know, always, for me, it's always exciting to fix, you know, something. You feel some kind of a, you know, accomplishment when I get something fixed on the truck, when I get something fixed on the trailer, you know. And I was driving and thinking about this, so I had all this plan in my head, you know, what to fix. I was mentally going over each part of the trailer, and then I crawled under and over to check if there's any cracks. But you see, turns out, so that's what caused that crack at the bottom in that little skirt, is that I'm missing some kind of reinforcements that they want to install. And one more thing I was thinking, you guys will be laughing. You remember how I was complaining about drop side rail trailer? But how many times now I got into, not into trouble, but, you know, a lot of guys like in Midwest and Western US, yeah, they laugh at this, and like at the height. They say, oh, you can always permit for the height, like 14, 15 feet tall, you know. But the problem is I'm in Ontario, right? And so where I go most often is the Northeast US. And in the Northeast US, like here, 1 inch in height makes a huge difference. And for people from Florida, 1 inch is 2.54 centimeters. I know you always wanted to know this. So 2.54 centimeters or 25.4 millimeters. So 25 millimeters makes a huge difference. And if you remember that crazy trip to Massachusetts where I picked up some kind of a processing machine, like a big excavator, like the one that eats trees for breakfast. And because I had this trailer, I was not able to go on the toll road. Of course, toll costs money, right? You need extra permit for the toll. But I'm telling you, it makes things so much easier when you're 13.6 or lower in Northeast US. Like Canada, Western Canada, right? Right now I was driving, I had the same 13 feet, 10 inches tall. No problems, they have no bridges in there. like Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, no issues. In Western US, no issues. But as soon as you get into this part, that's when I start missing my drop side drill, you know. And another funny part is that since now I have a 60-ton trailer, right? All my machines are big. Like all my loads, I don't haul small dozers or tiny baby rollers, right? That's when you cannot use the drop side drill. So all my machines are big. So I don't feel sorry. I mean, I'm very happy that I switched to this trailer, but turns out the best part of that switch was not drop side rail to level deck, but the best part was 55-ton to 60, right? Because if you remember, 55-ton Fontaine, you cannot get a neck long enough to use a tandem Jeep. Like Fontaine, the maximum I had was 23-inch flip box and 101, so that's 124. That's too short for a tandem Jeep, right? So if you want to use a tandem Jeep for some heavy loads, Fontaine says you must go with a bigger trailer, 60-ton. And then for a 60-ton and 70-ton and stuff like that, they give you this 83-inch flip box capability, right? And turns out there was a much more valuable reason to switch to the 60-ton. But drop side rail, especially when you move big machines, so your height, you save on height. And just to give you an example, so this video, after this one, I'm gonna go back and upload that 1-hour video. They sent me through Buffalo like this, you know. Why? Because I was 13 feet 10 inches tall. So if I had a drop side rail trailer, I would have been 13.6, and I could have gone straight on I-90, and instead of spending 2 hours around Buffalo, it would be like 1 hour or half an hour. So basically it can save you a lot of time if you are 13.6, trust me. And another reason why I still like that type of a trailer is the low angle of loading, right? Of course, if you're dealing with the experienced operator, he or she can, you know, swing the bucket backwards. Well, like when the front of the machine, let's say, and we're talking about loading an excavator, right? So when the excavator just sits like this on the front of your trailer, they can turn the house and they can use the boom to pick up the rear and then go forward. But that's not like your basic operation. You need an experienced operator. But I saw people do this, right? So they just pick up the rear of the excavator with the pushing the bucket into the ground, and then they go forward. And of course, this way, the excavator doesn't slam like this, right? But if nobody does it, of course, because my ramps are like this long, and the whole trailer is 22, 23 inches loaded height, the excavator goes like this, and then it goes down, you know? Like that pile driver goes like this. And so, of course, that creates a lot of stress. That's what, I'm pretty sure that's why those things inside the ramps are cracking, you know? But on a drop side rail, the sides, when it's fully connected to the truck, it's 14.5 inches. 14.5 inches. So when you lower it, when you put it down for loading, it's like this much off the ground. So instead of going like this, the excavator just goes like this, you know? And to me, that's another like reason number 2, like super valuable. What's so valuable about, you know, drop side rail? So it's much easier and much safer to load something. And the only drawback is that yeah, you cannot, it's super hard to load small machines like small dozers where the tracks are too close together, right? And then you have this raised center of the trailer, so the tracks are too narrow, so it has to sit like this sideways or like this sideways, and it will scratch everything, right? And then if you remember, I lost the load. There was this tug truck that tows aircraft, and it was super low, and the clearance was like 8 inches. And back then I had the drop side rail trailer, and I just could not load it, you know. Whereas now I can load anything. So basically, yeah, anything with low ground clearance and narrow tracks, you cannot load on drop side rail. But anyway, I was just, why I'm talking about this is that I still see a value in that one, and because my trailer is modular, I was thinking maybe sometime in the future, maybe, you know, in a couple of years where I don't have as many payments, I can just maybe trade in my deck, trade in my level deck for a drop side rail deck, you know, because again, I'm mostly doing big machinery now, big. I don't have small dozers, I don't have baby excavators, you know, so we'll see. Anyway, so that's the update. So thanks for watching. Let me just go back and yeah, try to upload that video about the Buffalo. And so I don't have a reload yet. I'm just taking 2 days off. That's it. I don't want to talk. I don't want to think about trucking. I'm gonna watch TV, take a shower, relax, play with my computer, and maybe I'll check the load board tomorrow. And the cash is coming tomorrow to my account for this trip. And then if there's no loads, I'll just go empty hole. You know, I'm sick and tired of sitting and waiting for loads. But I was getting some emails. People were asking me for quotes. So it's not completely dead. I still see load. Oh, and a couple of things I wanted to mention. Like, I was really scared to go into US, and now I feel much better because I see that New York, even New York, I think, yeah, New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, they passed the rules where you have to wear a mask in public. And I went into this Flying J in New Milford, PA. There's a big sign in the door, says, "Do not enter unless you have a face covering." Basically, it doesn't have to be a mask. It can be like a t-shirt, anything. And they kicked out one guy, one Indian guy, who came in without the mask, and everybody was looking at him, you know, like he's from a different planet, because everybody has something on their face. All the you know, people behind the counter, all the clerks, all people inside, all the truckers. And so that made me feel much safer. And of course I had my mask on. And then the same happened at the TA in Columbia, New Jersey. Again, the sign says, you know, "Do not enter, must have face covering as per, you know, New Jersey regulation, so and so." And that makes me feel safe, you know, because if somebody's coughing, that mask, so their mask protects me, my mask protects them. So cool. And also here at the hotel, the same notice on the door, you know, according to this law, everybody must wear a mask inside the hotel when you enter, when you're next to people, you know. So I think it's cool. So I went into Panera Bread, put my mask on, all people inside, all the clerks were wearing masks. So I didn't see any dead bodies on the street, but I like that everybody's wearing masks. Lots of people are wearing gloves. So it's not as bad as I thought it would be. So that's what I'm trying to say. So that's it. Thanks for watching. Check out the Tom and Sergey take on Buffalo. Is gonna be up momentarily.